Sneha, if I share, I think it will be okay. I can go with Chaitanya itself, right?
Yeah, okay,
You
fine.
can share.
Wait to join. Okay. Okay. Meanwhile, let me just go ahead with the data types so that we can proceed with one season. Uh, okay. So in our Java, we have 4 categories of data types. Okay. The first one is called a primitive data type. Okay, and that is again subdivided into logical, which is nothing but your boolean. Okay, so which can accept any two values, true or false, which are nothing as literal. So basically these are like defined values, you can't change them. So basically this is something on logical purpose. When you want to evaluate on conditional basis, we use this particular data type. The second one is called textual data type. So this is nothing but it accepts character. So what is character? This has only, let me come to the memory little later. So this is a character which can take only one. So basically a single character, or it can take only a single character. So it can be anything, but it accepts only one character and not more than that. For that purpose, Java has brought something called as string. So this is a Java class. Internally in Java, we have the string class, and this class can accept the group of characters. So, so since it's a class, whenever you're trying to create a variable, you should always follow the class structure and followed by the variable name. And within that, you can assign your value, whatever you requested to. And if you are not initializing it value, you can also just end it up with semicolon here. This is your second kind of type, textual, which can hold character or a string. The third one will be your integral, basically the numerical part. So in the integral part, you will be able to see byte, okay, short, int, and long. So these are the 4 data types which we will be looking into the integral part. So what is a byte? You should have been aware of this byte term so far. Any idea what is a byte? No one?
So byte is for storing smaller numbers.
Yeah. So basically,
One byte of
your byte can accommodate only 8 bits of value, which is nothing but 1 byte is 8 bits. When it comes to short, it can actually accommodate up to 16 bits. And your integer can accommodate up to 32 bits. And your long can accommodate up to 64 bits. Okay. So the Boolean is again a literal. So we don't have something called as bits here. By default, it can only take only a byte. So either a true or a false. Okay, and as for this character, you don't need to have anything specifically as you have here. Like, so character is always one. You can say one byte or 1 bit. You can go with anything. But in terms of string, it is not defined as any specific value because string is a class. So all your class data gets stored into heap memory and there is no defined memory size. For object, there is no defined memory size. Whatever you need to put in, it can accept. So there is no defined size for you. Whatever value you put in that particular scenario, it will be able to accept it. There is no specific size limit as you have for your primitive data types in terms of class. So why we have these 4 categories of integral data types in our Java system is we preferably don't use byte short, but we most predominantly use int and long. When should I go with int and when should I go with long? So basically, if your organization or if your school has more than 1 lakh students, and if your student ID is like 676754532221, like this long digit, and in that case, your int can't accommodate those values if it is exceeding. I'm just giving you a reference. Don't think that this is a value which int can't take it. I'm just giving you an idea about what is int and long. So if you have something like minimal value, so this particular bit position is acceptable by int, but the same bit position is not acceptable in terms of long. So it can accept little longer than what you can store in your int particular data type. So basically, whenever your application is being launched to a launch and that is going to be used by many customers, and you never knew how many customers will come in and use your application. So example, you think like you have the student data in table, okay, where you have the number of students entries. Whoever is getting into school, you are registering the student ID. So the first come, they'll have the student ID as 1, 2, 3, and you go on. As your year passes by, your number of students counts get increased, and your count comes into 6,000, and later it becomes 10,000, and later it becomes 1 lakh. So your count is actually increasing. So when your student ID, right, in your DB or in any particular data type, if you have it as int, right, in that case, if your student value is exceeding to something like this, then the int particular data type will not be able to accept it. All your data gets deleted. You don't have any backup. So that is why if you consider in future, there is a chance for your data might exceed than what you expected. It's always better to prefer with a longer data type than with a shorter data type. So as of now, you're practicing for a little bit of program, so you can go with int. But when you try to work for real-time examples, always consider to use a little better data type than using a shorter one. This is the integral type of data types. And the final one is called as fractional data types or floating data types. So basically, this can accept your decimal values. There are basically two categories, float and double. So again, float can hold up to 32 bits, which is 4 bytes, and your double can hold up to 64 bits. So when we come into this structure is when you're having when you're dealing with some money, if you're working in any banking system, or if you're working with any e-commerce system where you're in need of transacting some big values, and you need to round off it, right? Say example, if the customer is giving you some 999999.98. So if this huge value is coming it out, and post this precision, if you have some other external values in float, it can't precise the entire one. It won't consider this. It will consider only the shorter value of post this particular decimal point. The fractional part consideration will be very minimal in terms of float, whereas in terms of double, it will be pretty huge. So that is why if we wanted to handle a huger value, and that should not be converted into an exponent, as we have heard earlier in school days, a 10 power exponent of 3 or something like that. You don't want to convert your value to this format, but your value has to be still like this. Then you can always go and use your double. Okay, then these are the 4 primitive data types which we predominantly use. So any questions so far in this particular primitive data type? Are we good here?
Yes.
Okay, so all these data types will have a default value. So the JVM, the Java system, has given us an architecture, like if you're creating a variable int count, right? If you're not giving any value. So in that case, JVM will initialize in the backend as count equal to 0. It won't assign anything. It will assign as 0. Same way, if you're assigning it as a character C, you're not assigning any value. It will initialize some value as a default value, which you have heard earlier as called as hexacode. Basically, it starts with /u or /a or /t, some specific character it gets defaulted with. So all your characters are nothing but your ASCII codes, okay? So which are internally represented with an int value to understand in the backend system. So whenever you're trying to print or when you try to do some more practices using these data types, you will be able to experience what result set is this particular attribute or this particular data type is returning to us. So all these data types will have a defaulted value. I can share you the defaulted structure in some time. So right now, can Chaitanya proceed with creation of student object by sharing his screen, and then parallelly we learn the default value creation from the code itself. Chaitanya, you can share your screen.
Can you enable the screen share?
Yeah, it's already enabled. You can join.
Okay.
Okay, now can you give a relevant object name? Always have a relevant object name. Object name should be again small case. If you don't have a relevant object name, try to use the same class name but in a small case. Yeah, right now you're creating Chaitanya, new. Yeah, just give new student. Yeah, give new student. The first one. No. Student. You are creating object for your student class. Yes, and give semicolon. Okay, just give system.out.println, system S caps, out.println, and within that just println, the first one. Yeah, just give your object CHAI. And can you just run this program now? Right click on the screen, and you can see run student execute.main. Yeah, just give run. Others who are using Notepad, just execute as Java C space filename.java, and then you have to give Java file name. If you have an editor, you don't need to compile it explicitly. Okay. So now if you observe here in the console, when she printed her object, you are able to see something like student package dot student @ some value, right? So this is nothing but the address of that particular object. So every object, whenever you're creating in the backend, in your JVM, under the method area, under the heap, your object gets created. There you have this particular address location. So to verify whether, now I request you to create one more object with a different name. Create one more object, student, with a different reference name. And then try to print that particular object. You can just copy paste the Apo line and just rename your reference. Just type Sneha. Yeah. And then execute the program. Not super, Sneha. Yeah. Try to execute this program again. So now you can see two different references are created, and basically two object spaces are created in your heap memory. Now, Chaitanya, after your system.out.println, can you use your object CHAI? Like after that line, just use CHAI dot, right? Now you can see your student ID, right? STD ID. Yeah, can you just print that under your system.out.println? So basically the STD ID object, the property is public, so she's able to access it. Okay. Print all those values under system.out.println. Only then you'll be able to see what the value is getting printed there. Use system.out.println. Within that, try to use access your variable CHAI object. In that, CHAI dot gives STD ID, and you are able to see. Okay, no, in the same thing, in the same println, can you separate it with plus? No, type STD ID. Right, you can now separate it with plus. Give space and then give plus. Yeah. So whenever you wanted to print more than one property, you can separate it with plus. So basically it actually appends your data. Give plus, and then now you want to have some space. So you can give double quotes and give one space within that. Give space within the double quotes. Yeah. Now go again after double quotes, give one more plus, and now again type CHAI. Now just wait a moment. If you see, you can able to see CHAI.stdid, CHAI.leave plan, CHAI.stdmarks. But The private attribute is not visible in this particular class, though it is in the same package. So though my student and student execution are in same package, I'm not able to witness my private attribute. Only to access that, we have to create the getter and setter method. Okay. So
What is
right now,
private?
what? No, you
What
can
is
just-
private attribute?
yeah. Just go ahead and just print CHAA.std marks. Post that, we'll create the getters and setters. Just create the next attribute. No, CHAA dot. Whenever you want to invoke your properties and methods, you have to use dot operator and give std marks. Yes. Now, can you go to your student package once and just rename the student marks to float instead of int? Not public. You have it public. Just rename the int to float. Yeah. Create one more thing. Public boolean space give as flag. Just a flag thing. Yeah. Now try to access this values also in your student execution, like this particular flag also. Just separate it with the same format. Dot. Did you create it in private or you have it in the public flag? Yeah. Yes. Okay. Can you execute now? So if you see the first one, CHA ID is an int, which has value as 0. So right in the second line, you can see the int has given the defaulted value for that int data type as 0. Now for the float, it has given a defaulted value as 0.0. And for the flag, your Boolean flag will always be defaulted with false. Okay. Now we can try the default values of other attributes as well. Can you create few other attributes with different data types? Yeah, create public, double. Okay, go ahead and create public, byte, BYTE, and give just a name as byte stick. Okay. And your variable should always be camel case. If you're trying to create, please make a use of practicing it as camel case. Only then it gets used to you. Yeah. So create one more thing, public short. And can you make the blood group right into public as of now? So we'll create again private variable sometime. Just we'll check the default data default values of each data type now. Can you just make it private to public? Yeah. And one more data type, public. Create one more variable, public long. And also one more for character, public character. And try to access these variables now in your student execution. Just give space, otherwise you will be confused with what value is getting populated. Yeah, you have byte check, you have short check. Yeah, you can select anything. You have one more thing, short and double. Yeah, can you execute now? I think within that double quotes you haven't given space, so everything got messed up. Can you just give space? Save it and execute again.
How to save?
Just Control S. So now if you see, your character is again defaulted with value. Others can repeat it. Whoever can, maybe Yoga Vashni, you can say the answers for your character check. What is the value you're able to see there? You can remove that highlighter so she can help you there. Okay. Janaki, you can also share if you can see that. So what is the difference you see there? You can see a new thing called null, right?
Yes,
For the third
null.
one, string check, because that is an object. For object, the default value will always be null.
Null.
Because the memory address is only created, but if you have your memory address created, then you'll have some value as you have seen in the top, like student at the rate with some value. If that particular object is not created, the address is still empty. If the address is empty, you will just update it as null. So that is why for string, you are able to see the value as null. So not only string, if it is any class, right? For example, if Chaitanya, can you create one more object like student and create just reference and print that? Or you can just go to Sneha and remove it, remove the new student value. Just remove new student and just, no, keep Sneha. Control Z, remove after equal to. And just keep it semicolon after Sneha. Separate, end up with semicolon after Sneha. Yeah, now can you execute now? You have a compiler error. Now you see that Sneha might not have been initialized. So whenever you're trying to create an object for that class, student is a customized class, whereas string is Java provided class. So if you have something provided by the Java, then you have it defaulted with null by the system. But if you are using or creating some kind of objects for your reference, and that is not having any reference or any value initialized, then you'll get a compile time error. So it's always better to initialize equal to null if you don't have any object created for it. Otherwise, you have to create an object as the format of new followed by your constructor. New followed by your constructor, new student. Or you can just give null. Whatever you defined is, it's not the right way. You just gave parenthesis. You didn't create the word new and then the class name student, and then you have to give it.
Sneha, for string, it is null is the default value, and for character also it is showing something like 0 only. The
What?
default value.
Yeah, so all your defaulted values will be from your system. So can you execute now again, Chaitanya?
Even for character, it is 0.
Yes. So all your values like the double, float, only for double and float, you'll have it with precision. And for rest of all the things except your Boolean flag, you will see all the values defaulted with 0. Because character internally takes only integer value, which is ASCII code. So that is why it is also defaulted with your value as 0. So any questions on data types and what is the default value of it and what is the memory allocation for each data type?
Sneha?
Yes, Divya.
If I give student Sneha is equal to null,
Then you will
and
get your object as null because you haven't created any object. So it will assign the memory as null.
so if I print, it will be like null.
Yeah. Chaitanya, can you just update Sneha equal to null instead of new student? Just give null.
NUL.
NULL semicolon. And can you execute it? So right now memory is not created for Sneha object. So that is why you still see null. If your object is created, you can see an address created in your heap memory. So the other things, whatever you created as part of data types are primitive data types. So those all are keywords. Now, can you go to student file, Chaitanya? If you see all your keywords are in yellow color, only the string is in white color, as well as your class name, you can see that is again in white color. So basically, if you're using an editor, you can easily differentiate your keywords as well as your class names. So it will be easy for you to identify whether you're going in a right way or not. So far, any questions in this on data types and the variable creation, the structure of variable creation and the structure of class, structure of method, and how to access your methods if they are public. So we'll see how to access the private variable. So can you, Chaitanya, can you create one more variable as private within that? Private, you just give int and age. Okay. So right now this variable will not be visible outside. Can you try to create access that variable outside, Chaitanya? Yeah, just in the instead of Sneha, can you print chai dot, your system has to be capital because that's a class. Go to the line number 13, just rename Sneha with chal. Dot, and can you see whether you have that value which you created age? Are you able to see anywhere else?
No.
What is the, can you click on that icon which you get on your left side? That's bulb symbol, right? Click on it. So right now that particular field is not visible to your class, though the student execution is in the same package of student. So whatever attributes you create with private is visible only to the student.java and not to student exec.java. To make it visible, you have to create getters and setters. Now, can you go to student.java? So now, can you give one more enter? So there are two methods. One is to get and one is to set. So right now we are going to get the value. We are not setting anything. So create public. So whatever attributes which are in private, if you want to access outside, should always be in public. Then your return type for this age is int, but you're trying to get the value. So you have to return that particular data type int. Then you have to create a word get. It's a camel case again, get age. You're able to see the method name, right? Get age. Select that. Yeah, open parenthesis and close. And open the method. Yeah. Within that, give return space age. Semicolon. Save. And can you go to your student exe now? And now instead of age, can you just check for get age? Yeah. Now through this particular get age, you will be able to print your age. Now can you execute and see? Now you'll be able to see the age value as 0. Because age is an integer primitive type, and that is defaulted with 0. If suppose she wanted to give some other value, you can initialize either in the variable declaration or in your method. Okay. So now this is the way to access it. If suppose you want to set something for age from your main student execution, right? You need to have a setter method. Can you go to student.java again? Now create one more method, public void. For setting, whenever you're trying to set, you don't need to have a return type. You're just going to give some value to it. That's it. Now give set, give set and age. Yeah, open. And when you're setting, you're going to pass the value, right? So you need to have an argument. Can you go after set age within the argument? Can you just give int age? Or you can give any attribute. You can just give ag or a. Okay. Now within this, you assign age equal to value. Age equal to value. Semicolon. So now can you go to student execution? Now here, instead of get age, before that line or after that line, can you just give system, just give CHAI, don't print right now, just give CHAI dot set age, and within that int value, pass some random, you can give 20 or some number. Now can you copy the above line and again print it in the next line? Yeah, now execute your program. Can you go to your get age method and remove that equal to 15, because that is defaulted, so it is getting 15 printed. Can you remove that and just have age? Yeah. So now if you can see, your value is getting set as 20. So whenever you wanted to access your private variable, you need to have a getter method. And whenever you wanted to set some value to that private variable, you have to set it only here using your setter. These are sometimes called as mutators and accessors. Okay, so are we good till here? Can we continue with other syntaxes and programming concepts by tomorrow? So right now, whatever you learned is the encapsulation logic. So basically, you're hiding your data and you're using it only when it's required with the relevant methods which are exposed. So this is called as encapsulation or abstraction or information hiding. So this is one of the important concepts which we will be looking into when we start developing our programs. So any questions?
How about protected?
Yeah, as I said yesterday, protected is something. Protected is something you can use only if your classes are extended. That is, they have some kind of relationship. So as I said yesterday, there's a confirmed ticket, there is a requested ticket, there's a cancelled ticket. So these are the ticket relationship. And if you're using some kind of relation between these, then you can use your protected. And you can use that once we start using the concept of inheritance. Right now, we didn't start the inheritance concept in coding it. So you can't use the protected data type yet. But you can use that once you have a relationship between your classes. And all your top classes, right? The main class which you expose should always be public. It can't be private or protected. You can try it at your own end and you can tell me what kind of error did you face. Any other questions? Janaki, Kiruba.
So do we need code editor or how is it?
What? Can you tell me again?
Yeah, so is it better if we start with IntelliJ or?
No, I don't suggest you to go with IntelliJ right now, because since I can't show you the errors, that is the reason I asked you to go with editor, but I prefer you to start with Notepad initially. Maybe in 1 or 2 classes we can start. Once you do your once you learn your OOPS concept and you start doing your programming, you can use your editor. But till then, it's always better to go with your command prompt and execution.
Okay.
Sneha, even in the Notepad, right, we need to give that package, that import.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. If suppose
in
if
the editor, we need
suppose
to type
if your
it now.
package, whatever you're seeing as a package, right? If in your directory folder structure, you'll have it as the same directory, and under which you'll have multiple classes. So you can always have better to have package separated with your package name. So the syntax will be like package and package name. And if you're importing some other class from, say, example, Y directory to your X directory, then you have to have import the directory name or the package name dot followed by the class name, and then separated with your semicolon.
So that package name should be my directory, right? Like whatever I kept inside my folder, the main folder
That
name.
directory name is called package name in terms of Java. That's it.
Java. Okay.
So any other questions? Are we good here till now? So you learned a new word, constructor. Tomorrow we'll see in deeper view what is constructor, what happens if you don't have a constructor internally in a better way. But right now we just covered only the data types and the syntaxes for your variable methods and classes. and what are the access modifiers and how you need to access your private variables and methods. So are we good, or you have any questions? So let me give you a small program. You can try it in your own level. Create a online bank app where you need to do some transactions like withdrawal or deposit, like as you do in your ATM. So just design a class with the relevant attributes and the methods, which can be private or public, it's up to you. But I need a proper variable names and proper method names to do those activities. So just keep it handy. So tomorrow, once you learn your constructors and the other basic syntax and conditional operations, you will be building that app with few other logics. So just define your class. So assignment is you have to come up with the more attributes and more methods for that particular online bank app or an ATM app. So this would be your assignment, and tomorrow we'll be progressing on your application, whatever you have created in your system. So anyone can share your screen. So tomorrow maybe Yoga Varshini or Janaki can share your screens and we can start working on their screens.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, so you can also, since you are aware of the data types, you can see how you can use those particular data types and see, you can play around with that. What if you give a different value? Say in the character, if you give double value, is it accepting? Or if you're giving a float value in terms of a string, is it accepting? Try with the different combinations and come up with, if you're facing any compile time errors or runtime errors, come up with those identifications and you can share it tomorrow in the initial call. So try to play around with those data types and check it out. So tomorrow we'll continue with the constructors, and post that we'll be learning few other keywords which are necessary for your constructors, and also your other basic syntaxes like your conditional loops and how you can go there. But come up with your online bank or ATM app relevant attributes and methods created for your class. This would be a it's just a 5 minutes work. You need to just sit and analyze your attributes. That's it. So if you don't have any questions, we can wrap it up. So are we good?
Yes, for me. Fine.
Okay. Then have a good day. Let's connect tomorrow then.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Thank you.